Hi, I'm Janice Sullivan from Sullivan J Photography, and every week we talk about landscape and macro photography, post-processing, equipment, behind the scenes, you name it, and we will chat about it. Today I'm going to talk to you about shutter speed, but I'm going to talk about the basics of shutter speed for you macro photographers. So let's get to it. Shutter speed. It is this little component right here. Inside here is a shutter and it shuts and it opens and closes real quick. Real quick. I'm actually taking pictures right now. But it opens and shuts very quickly depending on, let's get my glasses. I have it at 1/1000th of a second. So if I'm going to change my shutter speed to a slower shutter speed, so let's go to at 4 seconds. Listen to it. It's open. Woohoo, it's taking a picture right now. Even though it doesn't seem open, but because you see me kind of in there, that's just my mirror. When the mirror moves up, because I have a mirrored camera, it opens the shutter to let the light into the sensor. So what's happening right now is that it's full-blown open. Usually when you have your lens inside this baby, it has like an iris in there and the aperture, and it opens and closes and determines how much light comes in. But because when I'm opening it like this, it's letting all of the light in my camera at the moment. Definitely don't do this in the sun. It'll probably burn your sensor. So that's all it is. It's a mechanism inside here that opens and closes depending how fast you want it to be. And of course, by changing up your speed and your aperture, that will determine how your exposure will be. And that's really what it's all about, is getting the correct exposure, the correct amount of light to what you want the image to look like. And so on my camera, I have all the doodads right in here. Get to know your camera so you can change things up. Figure out how do you change your shutter speed and how do you change your aperture. Manual mode is the best way to learn, because that will teach you what your camera can do. You put it on the other modes besides manual, then the actual camera is doing everything for you. And what I want you to do is actually learn what it is. So manual mode, go out there and play, put your f-stop on a number and put your shutter speed on a number. And it's pretty self-explanatory. When the shutter opens really fast at 1/1000th of a second, it's going to capture things very quickly, but it doesn't let as much light in because it's all poof, poof, poof. If you want to get a bee or something flying really close for you macro photographers, you're going to have to bump that shutter speed up. But many a times we are on a tripod when we get super close to our subject. So it's pretty cool that we can actually use very slow shutter speed, like I showed you, 4 seconds. So if you don't have the great lighting conditions that you need, throw your camera on a tripod and you can let more light into your camera by slowing down the shutter speed. I'll show you some images and we'll chat about the shutter speed. Okay, so I want to chat with you quickly about these 4 images in front of you. And we're going to talk about the hardest thing to do actually is going outdoors and photographing with the wind element. So this image in front of you, we can see to the right, it was at 1/180th of a second at f5.6. So the wind was a little bit of a factor. I had to make sure that it opened pretty quick. 1/80th is okay. It's not that quick. I mean, you can go into the thousands. So the wind was okay with me on this one. you'll have to pay attention to that. The next one is 1/4000th of a second at 3.5. That was because the wind was crazy at the poppy fields and I had a lot of movement. So I wanted to make sure that the poppies were straight. I didn't want them all crazy. Now there it's blurred, but that's because it's a 3.5, but it's okay. You can see that this right here is very sharp and in focus, and it's leading your eyes to the poppies. So 1/4000 is what I had to do for this image because I was outdoors. This is one of my fine art pieces. This is a macro lens painting. I do these all the time. This is what I'm known for. I shot this at 4 seconds at f11. I did this purposely because I was hand holding and I wanted some movement. I wanted some friction. So you macro photographers can have fun. It doesn't always have to be totally sharp. But the shutter speed does make a difference. I'm still getting in close to this flower and I slowed the shutter speed so I can have this movement. And the last image I want to share with you is a studio shot. This is one of my favorite things to do. I love to be in the studio. This was shot at 1/5 of a second at f22. I could do this because it was on a tripod and I had my lighting all set up. I didn't have to worry. So I pushed my f-stop to f22. That's as far as I would ever go with my macro photography. That's just my preference. Now, if you are outdoors and want to get a shot like this and the wind's blowing, what you would have to do is add more light to your subject using reflectors, or you can use a macro ring light. And I have a video down below of an unboxing if you don't know what that is and you want to see it. I hope this has helped you understand what a shutter speed does, especially for you macro photographers. Those images that I shared with you all had different elements, so you will play with the different shutter speeds in your camera. Look at your camera manual and figure out how to change them and go play with that. To check out more goodies about macro and landscape photography, go to Sullivan J Photography and sign up for our newsletter. This is where I'll send you emails about once a month, different challenges, new equipment, all kinds of fun stuff to push you to use your camera up close and personal. Have a great day. Cheers.